Hello, greetings, salutations, and welcome to Kailo's Radical Ranger Reviews. And today we are going to be taking a look at the Lightning Collection Psycho Rangers. So these figures are something I've been waiting for the longest, since they were sprinkled to us literally throughout, the other Lightning Collection stuff. We got Psycho Red, Psycho Blue, I believe. I don't remember, so correct me if I'm wrong, as I'm sure you lovely comment people will. But we never got all the Psycho Rangers until Hasbro decided to give us this amazing package deal, which turned out to be an Amazon exclusive. Yay, go Amazon. But they did not disappoint. They did not. So let's turn the package around so you can see what they officially look like in their psychotic glory. You've got Psycho Red, Psycho Pink, Psycho Yellow, Psycho Blue, and Psycho Black. Power Rangers Lightning Collection, indeed. Now, the box art. I love the box art. I must say, it's got a really good close-up shot of their faces. And one thing I must admire is the fang style on the mouthpieces. But we'll get to that. I love how, unlike most other artwork of boxes for Lightning Collection, since this is a large one, we get all of them featured on here. So, let's take a look on the inside, shall we? And before we take a quick look at them, let's look at inside the box. Because right on the inside, I wouldn't have noticed this if I didn't look at another reviewer. It gives you a nice brief history on the Psycho Rangers inside the box. Created by Astronema to defeat the Space Rangers, the Psycho Rangers are the evil, violent counterparts of the Power Rangers. Each Psycho Ranger absorbed the brainwaves of the same colored Space Ranger, becoming a perfect adversary and deadly opponent. So yeah, I love how they put violent counterparts. Because let's not talk about everything else they've done. And here they are in package, the glorious Psycho Rangers, and I love these figures. Inside, you have different hands spouting off their lightning powers, and you have another separate hand. So they come with two extra hands, one spewing lightning and one without. They have them snuggly bugly in their respective resting places. You've got their weapons right here, and you've got their blast effects right about yeah. And I love it. You've got right here. You got the spear. What is that? The Psycho Staff, Psycho Spear. I don't know the names of these things. But no, seriously. You have her Star Slinger, which is supposed to be the counterpart to the... it's her Star Slinger, so I would call it the Psycho Slinger, I guess. It's like the counterpart to the Star Slinger. And you have Psycho Red with his sword is right about Nya. And you have Psycho Blue and his axe, which I loved watching him use in the episodes. And you have Psycho Pink and her Psycho Bow right about here. Her blast effects right about nya. So, without further ado, let's get them out of their resting places and see how awesome they really are. And we're going to start off this full review with Psycho Red, the infamous leader of the Psycho Rangers. And as his name suggests, he is quite hot-headed, red being the representation of fire. And Psycho Red was basically, literally, I would have to say, aside from Blue, the most psychotic of the Psycho Rangers, because of his obsession to destroy the Red Ranger. Now, don't get me wrong, every last Psycho Ranger wanted to destroy their respective colors, but I think no more so than Red and Blue. He is the ferocious leader of the team, and like all of them, he has your typical head sculpt with the fangs around the mouth, as I spoke about earlier. The bug-eyed design that I think is rather similar to Kamen Rider. I will say I do love how the mask, the visor is covered up slightly by the red of the helmet here on both sides, and it gives it a more sinister tone, a more sinister vibe than giant wide-eye, styles of villains or characters. It's kind of squinty for a mask. All the Psycho Rangers have the exact same articulation, which I will get into in a moment. But I must say that this one is a little bit, I'd say, rubberier. Is that a word? Rubberier than all the other Rangers. All the all the other Psychos, and specifically the first Psycho Red figure that we got released before, which I don't have at the ready to give you a comparison. But I feel like this one is a little bit thicker and a little bit rubberier, but definitely tight in the joints, tighter in the joints than the original. He's got his Psycho Sword, which is made of a beautiful black plastic. Let's just get this out here, and I'll show you real quick. Like that, boom, like that. Put him aside. Talk about this sword. Nice black detail. There we go. Forgive me if it you can't really see it because my camera's blur, but it's nice shape. It's a double-edged sword, clearly, so you gotta watch out. Don't want to cut yourself. I like the red in the middle with the black center jewel style. And here at the handle, it spins around, so it doesn't really fall out of his hand rather easily. Spinny spin. I love spinning. No, but seriously, it doesn't really fall out of the hand easy when once it's placed in and it's gripped, because that little spiral wraps around the hand pretty well. Like all the Psychos, it comes with its extra hand that spews the lightning, sizzle, sizzle, sparkle, sparkle, and on the hand, you have the 6 dots. Is that 6? No, that's 7. My bad, I can't count. Anyway, we have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dots. Now, most people I know do not really hold on to the lightning effects because, to my knowledge, they're not removable. So I've seen people talk about cutting them off. But if you decide not to use this, the lightning hands, be very careful how you cut these off because you don't want to accidentally slice off a finger. The lightning hands themselves are in a green plastic, green and white, and they're very bendy, so you can kind of get it in a standard bendy style. It doesn't really pose very well, doesn't hold it, but it's kind of designed for one pose, one formation, and that's about it. On this side, you see the hands. Let's move this right there. Hands also have the 7 dots because these are standard ones. They are interchangeable. And all the Psychos also come with an extra fist. If I'm not mistaken, I believe this is the left hand. So if you want different style poses, though personally, as far as hands go, I really wish this was more open. Because this one is slightly open where you can hold the fist, hold the weapon, I'm sorry, and kind of have to bend it open to open the weapon a little bit, but it doesn't really pose. Now, I understand the posability in fingers might be a difficult thing for them to pull off, so I'm not going to, moan about it, but I'm just, hopeful that, maybe next time they'll do a thing where there's more hands that are either open or closed. I don't really care for the idea of just a solid fist, and this one is only slightly open to hold the weapon. Maybe if the fist could just do this. Not all the fingers don't have to be. The fingers don't have to all be individually motionable, but just one. Kind of put it on a hinge here so that the fists close and make it easier to hold the weapon. We did it with Transformers. Why can't we do it with Power Rangers? Come on, Hasbro. Love you guys. Don't hurt me here. As for the design of the arms, I love the armband. It almost looks like a typical communicator style. But I remember when they communicated in the show, they would put their hands to their heads like they had an earpiece or something. Now, as far as articulation goes, the head can turn all the way around. It's very, very tight. And yeah, I'm going to say it. We all know it. They have no necks. They have no necks. None of them do. That's one bone of contention I will say that I have, is they have no necks. But otherwise, this figure is a spot-on representation of Psycho Red. I believe all of them are spot-on representations of each and every individual Ranger. You have the N on the belt, and for those of you who don't know, they were actually based off a team called Neji Ranger. If I'm pronouncing that right, correct me in the comments if you must. Neji Ranger, which were the which were the rivals and basic counterparts to the Mega Ranger, which Power Rangers is, in space is based off of. So, yeah, and like in the American version, the Neji Ranger were also based off of someone else's powers and draining them until they die, whereas these were based off of, these were created from, what's-his-face, Dark Spectre's power by Astronema, whom eventually I'm going to get into a review because we have her too, so we're going to get to that. I promise you. We're going to talk about their master, Astronema, although if they had their choice, they'd be their own masters. Anyway, back to Articulation. Arms can do a full 360 all the way around. Elbows is bendy, very bendy, and it comes all the way up, which is very nice. It stretches down. It can't really pull out, though. There's really no clearance because the inside, it just doesn't come up because of the vest style, which I will say I do like. It's got that ab crunch really tight. Like he did not miss a workout day. He has got them tight abs. Waist articulation, it comes all the way around very smoothly. Not too tight around the waist. The legs go up. Legs can bend. The feet are also very tight on mine, as you can see. I don't know if yours are. It might be a difference where mileage may vary. So you let me know, for those of you who have the Psychos, how tight your figures are. And I don't want to risk breaking anything, so I don't want to move it around too much. But I will say, I love the design. Red is my favorite color, so Psycho Red is definitely my favorite choice. And one more piece of love that I have for these Psychos, I love the dots. I love the silver button styles all over the vest. I like them on the shoulders. I like the 4 dots here, the 4 dots there, the 3 dots there, the 3 dots there. I don't think it was too much. Personally, I think it was just enough. I think it was just enough for that. So, anybody out there interested in cosplaying him, check out that helmet. That helmet design, love the ears come oh so slightly out, and the material is nice and smooth to the touch on the back. The visor is like a motorcycle helmet. These aren't like your other Ranger helmets. They're all one kind of design and then all the same color. No, these guys, their design is just really, really sharp. Like you almost feels like you could cut yourself on this material here. But I'm gushing. I'm sorry, I'm gushing. Most important feature of the helmet for me is the fangs on the mouth plate. That is my favorite part. It gives it the whole sinister vibe and brings it all together. But anyway, that's enough geeking out about Psycho Red. So now, let's move on to Psycho Black. I'm going to talk about Psycho Black and his what I like to call the Psycho Staff, which he uses to staff things like. Sorry, I love how long and lengthy it is, but let's take that out of his hand for a moment, and we will talk about him. The more level-headed, I will say, of the Psycho Rangers. At times, he was trying to stop Psycho Red from being too psychotic, and of course he failed. He was one of the last surviving members of the Psychos before they were destroyed by the Rangers. But make no mistake, when they were all together, they could not be stopped. Every last one of them. Now, comparing to Psycho Red, one thing you notice is, you see the black on here is barely noticeable. Like, they almost look like flame decals, kind of a bit. I forgot to talk about a minute ago. Whereas on him, for some reason, it feels like the black is a little bit more pronounced. I mean, it's Psycho Black, but I can somehow see the kind of flame-esque things on his chest, and you would think that would be more difficult on a black figure, but no, it's actually easier for me to see. Same features, just, colored in primary black, whereas he's the only one with a different collar. All the Psycho Rangers have a white collar around their necks, while since this is all black, I don't think a white collar would have looked as well. I think it would have been too ordinary, so I'm glad they went with the gold style collar. Like all the other Psychos, his head can come all the way around. His arm can come all the way around. Both arms can do that. The elbows can come in. And again, he's got that communicator-like feature on the wrist. So it's not much to talk about in terms of difference other than color. So, to talk about Psycho Black, he was, again, like I said, the most level-headed of them. And he's very powerful. He was very strong. But you really don't see him duke it out as heavily with the others. I'll get to that in a moment. But he's got the ab crunch, and on this one, it's actually a little steadier. The ab crunch isn't as tight as on Psycho Red. He's got the same turnaround feature. The legs move up, the knees move up. The knee is just as tight, I will say. And for some reason, they've got some pegs in the feet, all of them. For what, I don't know, because they don't have any feet-style blast effects. So I don't know what that's for. Same awesome design with the helmet. And same awesome design with the dots, all the dotty dots. He is the Black Neji Ranger, and whereas in the American version, the Psycho Rangers wanted to destroy the Rangers, as far as the Japanese version goes, they would kill anybody in their way to get to the Mega Ranger. Now, forgive me if I'm wrong about that. Go watch Mega Ranger and then come back in the comments and let me know if I'm wrong. But yeah, these were cold-blooded killers, every last one of them. Now, we're going to move on to Psycho Blue. Psycho Blue is literally, I would say, next to Red, the most psychotic. Then, you know what? Now that I think about it, no. I'm going to say Blue was the most psychotic because his axe was a short-range weapon. He was an expert in close-quarters combat, as you saw when he decimated TJ, the Blue Space Ranger, and he put him in the infirmary and loved doing it too. If there's one thing I will say about Psycho Blue compared to Psycho Red in personality, it's that he didn't know how to control himself. Red controlled himself a little. He was more calculating and planning. This one here just didn't care. And when they brought them back in Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, Trakina tried to explain her plan, and he was like, "No, I'm going after the Blue Ranger first. No one tells me what to do." You know, so he immediately stepped up and said, "I'm taking charge. I'm doing my own thing," until she put them in their place with, robotic collars for their arms to, shock them and keep them down. So, let's talk about Psycho Blue and his weapon. And if you're wondering why I didn't talk about Psycho Black's weapon, admittedly, I forgot. So, we saw the Psycho Staff. I showed it in the box. It's long, it's staffy, it's pointy, and you could probably use it to, just try to yoke people in the neck. Anyway, what's really much to say about a staff? Psycho Blue has his traditional Psycho Axe, which I'm going to leave in the hand this time, as opposed to removing it like I did with the other figures. I will say I do love how it's a double-edged axe, like literally one axe here, one axe there. It's not just one part. Like no matter which way he turns it, he's going to hurt you. He's going to slice you. He's going to cut you. And like all the other Psychos, he's got all the same dot designs. They all do. Because really, when you talk about one Psycho, the only thing that's really relevant to say about all the others is just the color change. With him, the black is a little bit more pronounced on the flame-like decals, but that's about it. But yeah, this is one of my favorite weapons because the way it turns and it spins. I'm going to have a field day with this in terms of stop-motion animation. Like the others, Psycho Blue's head turns, and it's not as tight. He's got the ab crunch. This one is just about as tight as my Psycho Red, and the arms do spin. Oops. Turn that around, bring that down. Arms do come all the way around. The legs come up like that very nicely. The toes, they bend, but this is the hardest part. The feet really are kind of really tight. Really tight. One thing I didn't talk about with the other two is the boot design. And the boot design matches the glove design very well. I like how uniformed that is for a suit. they're not just uniform with each other because they're all, different colors of a Ranger team, but the suit itself is kind of uniform with itself. It's got gauntlets and the gauntlets and the shin guards match, whereas the suit, every part of it is like literally a duplicate of the other part, which I will say I love. I love how, like I said, uniform that is. When I play a fun drinking game, see how many times I say uniform. I will say this: he is my second favorite because of how psychotic he is. It was so much fun to watch Psycho Blue lose control, and he just straight up abandoned all sense of logic throughout the Psycho Rangers saga. And for those of you who don't know, go check out Power Rangers in Space, the episode Rangers Gone Psycho. That's where the saga starts, and it's a very long one. It's actually longer than the Green Ranger saga, because even after their destruction, they were brought back as ghosts, got new bodies, and the only way they could be defeated was to be trapped on data cards. So yeah, that's how powerful they were. They would keep coming back. Next on the list, we're going to be talking about Psycho Yellow. She was, I would say, the conniving, the most conniving one, because she would even connive against her own teammate, Psycho Pink, because they said they're going to capture them a Ranger. She promised her it would be Pink. She lied and took Yellow instead, which caused Cassie to, be scared, and she basically used that fear to her advantage. She comes with her Psycho Sling, at least that's what I call it. If I'm wrong, please correct me. This is the counterpart to the Star Slinger that Ashley uses as far as her weapon is concerned. And like all the others, she's got that gorgeous helmet design with the yellow on the top. Now this one, here's a funny thing about this particular figure. She is a lot looser than all the others in terms of mobility. This one's a little bit Yankee, like where all the others are more tight. This is very quick to be loose. Thankfully, it doesn't pop off. It's not a deal breaker for me, I will say that, but it kind of concerns me just a little. Like all the other Psychos, she's got the same arm articulation. Whoops, there we go. Okay, let's try it again. There we go. All the way around. She's got the bend. Oops, and the Star Slinger fell out of the Psycho Slinger fell out of the hand. But as you can see, it looks like a bat. I like maybe this. I would say this is the Bat Slinger, but I think bat plus anything else is already copyrighted, so I am not going to call it that. Nope. She's a lot more slender than the other Psychos because she's supposed to be female. She's supposed to be more detailed and female in the look. So there's nothing wrong with a little bit of slenderness. And she's got a great design, just like all the others. The vest complements her well. Yellow does fit well, because seriously, who would expect an innocent color like yellow to be such a deviant attacker? She's very powerful, very quick, just like all the others. But I think, like what she did to her fellow Psycho Pink in terms of personality, she is the most conniving. She's the most, cold and calculating, because she could come up with a complex plan and make you really, think about stuff. Not to mention, all the Psychos were very smart when it came to trying to track down the Rangers earlier. In one of the last episodes featuring their saga, they would analyze their voice patterns so they'd be able to recognize them even out of costume. No other villain really did that. But then it's like they kind of didn't have to because they already knew who the Rangers were. But this showed a nice dimension of intelligence where they, tried to hunt them down. I believe the episode was called Silence is Golden. And she, like Black and Red, were amongst the last survivors. Because if I'm not mistaken, I believe Pink was destroyed first, then Blue, then the other three were destroyed at the same time. So, on to the final Psycho Ranger for the day. We are going to be talking about Psycho Pink, or as my friend Anthony, aka Negro Yasha,
holla at your boy,
calls her Gangsta Pink. I'll get to why in a minute. But she comes with the Psycho bow, and what bugs me what bugs me about this is, I will say this, I know we're all thinking it, why does she have a bow and not a counter to the satellite stunner? Why? Because I think this is more of a counterpart, at least physically, to not Psycho. This is more of a counterpart to the original Pink Ranger, because Kimberly had the power bow, whereas Cassie has her satellite stunner. This one has a dark bow. So really, I don't think that was a necessity. I think it would have been more accurate to give her a darker version of the satellite stunner, but I'm not going to lie. I'd be lying if I said I didn't like this better. Accuracy is one thing, but overall appearance is another. Let's be real here. The bow actually does fit her better. I'm not the biggest fan of, why, she got a different weapon. But hey, it looks good. I'm not going to lie, it does look good. Now, like all the other Rangers before her, she's got arm articulation that comes all the way around. She's got basically in and out movements of the elbows. Legs move up, legs can move back, but legs can't really move all the way back. They kind of come out like this, which is weird. All the legs do that. And she's got the knee joints, which aren't super tight, but they're not super loose either. They're just the right amount of focus on her, like all the other Rangers before her, except everything is the same here. The legs are tight. Could break my fingers on those things. It's really difficult. It's really difficult, I'm not going to lie. Same all the way around movement. And she's got the same ab crunch, which is tight like Psycho Red's. So it's not a deal breaker for me, but you can hear that click, and it does bother me just a little bit. Like her female counterpart in Psycho Yellow, she's got them slender legs, which really look good on her. And she's got all the same head design like all the others. The Psycho Bow, I will not lie, it does fit in her hand very well. Whereas all the others, I did have a hard time getting the weapons into the fingers, because I kind of had to bend the left hand open just a little bit. So again, for each of yours, it might be your own thing. You decide how you want to do it. But yeah, Psycho Pink. Now, as to why my friend Anthony calls her Gangsta Pink, it's because that when the Psycho Rangers fought off the Galaxy Rangers and the Space Rangers in the Power Rangers Lost Galaxy in Space team-up, when they were destroyed again, she was the last survivor. She actually came back and successfully fought off 2 Pink Rangers on her own, learned the location of the legendary Savage Sword, MacGuffin device of the day, and used it to crush In Space Pink's Morpher, use all that power to grow, and having to destroy, she got destroyed by the Rangers, but the storm that was created by the Morpher's destruction and the Savage Sword was still going on. So, Kendrix, the Lost Galaxy Pink Ranger, spoiler alert, she wound up dying, destroying the Savage Sword, and saving everybody else. So, Gangsta Pink over here was inadvertently, that's the word I choose, she was directly responsible for the destruction of the Pink Ranger. A feat that many other villains to this day have yet to accomplish. She successfully killed a Power Ranger. So she was the only Psycho Ranger that actually lived up to her programming. So yeah, that's why she was Gangsta Pink. She survives the destruction of a major attack and then comes back and kills a Ranger. How many other villains do you know that can do that have done that? Let me know in the comments below. In the meantime, that right there is Psycho Gangsta Pink. And there you have it. The Psycho Rangers. The greatest evil team of Rangers there ever was. Now, arguably, you could say that about a few others, but I don't think anything else compares to the Psychos. Strong, fast, incredibly evil, and oh so dynamic. There they are, the Psychos. Once again, we've got Psycho Black, Psycho Red, Psycho Yellow, Psycho Pink, and Psycho Blue. I hope you guys have enjoyed this review as much as I've enjoyed making it for you. In the meantime, this is Kailo the Nest Man, finishing off Kailo's Radical Ranger reviews for this week, and tune in next week. Until then, keep in mind that growing old is mandatory and growing up is optional. Childhood into adulthood, brotherhood and sisterhood. I love it all and I love you all. Peace.